welcome to the channel. Today, we're going to tackle a topic that almost no one dares to discuss. But here we don't shy away from the urgency. We look the shadow in the eye and listen to what it has to say. And if you've watched this video, you may have already felt that your sexuality isn't that of most people. Perhaps you harbor secrets that even your soul is reluctant to reveal, but it's crying out for grandma. Today, we're going to talk about the 5 most mysterious and little-known sexual habits of the chosen ones. And no, this isn't esoteric gossip or the mystical curiosity of an ancient book. It stems from experience, pain, the light and darkness that coexist in those born with a different mission. For those who carry this vocation, this strange spark in their eyes also bears scars that society pretends not to see. The sexuality of the chosen one is a sacred minefield. It is there that the mind dances with the body to a rhythm that is not always beautiful, but always authentic. And you see, it is not easy to express in words, because it is not a common desire, but rather a thirst for the soul, for caresses that make the past shiver, for bonds that transcend the skin and tear the veils between worlds. And no, it's not romantic. It's visceral, confusing, sometimes frightening, but it's real. You can even try to deny it, rationalize it, hide it, but this part of you won't disappear, just because the world finds it too strange to exist. Today we begin by untangling this labyrinth, and the first step is understanding who these people are, who live with their souls in their raw state. The chosen ones, those who feel everything out loud, who touch the invisible, who love too much, who distance themselves by giving themselves up to blood, who try to integrate into common patterns but never succeed. If you have ever felt like you carry an inextinguishable fire, a vocation that no one understands, and a sexuality that does not fit into any manual, this video is for you. Here you'll recognize yourself in the details the world calls exaggeration. You'll understand that it's not madness, it's sensitivity. It's not a flaw, it's a code. It's not a sin, it's a gateway. And along the way, we'll reveal 5 sexual habits that seem strange on the outside, but that say a lot about who you are on the inside. And I'm not talking about idiosyncrasies or preferences. I'm talking about soul-born patterns, dynamics that repeat themselves like scripts from another dimension, experiences that mark you more deeply than words could express. And you might get goosebumps, be moved, even uncomfortable. But that's okay. This is what it feels like to open a door that's been closed for too long. So take a deep breath and join me. For the journey that begins now isn't just about sexuality. It's about power, memories, old wounds, and unexpected healing. It's about recognizing your whole self, including the parts you've learned to hide. And to begin, let's talk about the first habit, the one few dare admit, but which resonates in lonely nights, vivid dreams, and chills that appear out of nowhere. Yes, we are talking about an experience that doesn't take place between 4 walls, but between dimensions, a kind of intimate connection involving beings who don't belong to the physical plane. Some call it a dream, others a delusion, but those who have experienced it know that it's not a fabrication. I'm talking about energetic encounters with entities, spirits or beings from other levels of consciousness. Yes, spiritual sex, but not in the form of a ritual with incense and mantras. It's something that happens spontaneously, often during sleep, between wakefulness and sleep, when the body relaxes and the soul awakens. It is in this state that many chosen ones experience invisible caresses, vibrant kisses, intense sensations of pleasure, and even orgasms without any human contact. Sometimes it's gentle, almost an overwhelming embrace. Other times it's heartbreaking, as if a force runs through your body, leaving it vibrating for hours. The most incredible thing is that you wake up with a tired body, altered energy, a confused mind, and a heart full of questions. Who was this presence? Why did it come? What did it take from you? What did it leave behind? This kind of experience is ancient, far older than modern books dare to recount. In ancient traditions, this phenomenon was known and even venerated. Moon priestesses, shamans, and initiates of occult orders knew that sex was not just a carnal act, but a bridge between worlds, a means of accessing knowledge, healing trauma, and even making pacts. But here's the warning. Not all beings who approach are well-intentioned. Not every invisible contact is a blessing. The chosen one, with their heightened sensitivity and ever-open doors, can attract both light and shadow. And when this happens without preparation or discernment, what could be magical becomes an energetic prison, a silent obsession, an exhausting addiction. That's why it's important to acknowledge this habit, but also to treat it with respect and care. If you've ever had such an experience, remember that you're neither alone nor crazy, but you must learn to protect your energy, to close the doors, to discern what comes from the soul and what comes from lack. This is the first habit, the most mysterious, the most silent, and perhaps the most transformative. Now that you understand how the spiritual world can permeate the physical world and provoke encounters that defy logic, it's time to look at another habit that's as strange as it is real: involuntary withdrawal. But not just any withdrawal. The kind you don't choose. It happens spontaneously, paralyzing you, locking you in without permission, transforming desire into silence, and turning contact into a minefield. You know that sincere desire to connect with someone? That beautiful, legitimate, and human desire to experience a moment of intimacy? Well, in a select few, this desire is born, burns but stops, freezes, dies on the shore. It's as if something greater than desire itself is saying no, or worse, no, to that person, and there's no point in forcing it. The body reacts with repulsion, pain, a discomfort that transcends the physical. It's as if the soul erects an invisible barrier between you and the other, as if to say, this encounter is not ready, this energy is not safe, you will not give up. And then everything stops. An awkward silence settles between what you feel and what you can experience. Many people don't understand. They think you're stuck, that you've lost your desire, that you're running away. But in reality, a spiritual intelligence is at work, controlling everything behind the scenes. And this intelligence has a strict filter. It won't let you connect with just anyone. It holds you back when it senses that the other person isn't pure, isn't aligned, isn't ready to truly touch you. But this protection comes at a price, a very high price, because the world demands it. People are asking questions, and you too are beginning to ask yourself, is there something wrong with me? Why can't I live like everyone else? Am I broken? And this questioning is painful. It is painful because there is no simple answer, because it is difficult to explain what even you don't fully understand. While the world values quick relationships, beautiful bodies, and wild nights, the chosen one finds himself trapped in a labyrinth where the body doesn't exist. And it's not that he doesn't desire pleasure. He desires it. He feels it, but he needs something more. Something real, something deep, something beyond touch. Because if it's not complete, it's useless. If it's superficial, it hurts. If it's empty, it disintegrates. And then, my friend, a cycle of silence sets in. For months, for years, without ever giving up. Not by choice, but out of protection. And the more time passes, the harder it becomes to explain. The harder it is to trust, the harder it is to try again. Many try to force themselves to live like everyone else, to establish lukewarm relationships, to feign interest, to force their bodies. But the body screams, shuts down, reacts with anxiety, insomnia, nausea, because the body of the chosen one is like a temple. It knows when the presence of the other is profane. And this abstinence, though painful, is not a punishment. It is a transition, a sacred pause, a time of purification, of reconnection, of realignment. It is the soul saying, wait, heal. When the time is right, everything will flow and be different. It will be complete. It will be healing. But while we wait for that moment, emptiness sets in, need becomes pressing, and loneliness weighs because the body lacks it. Yes, because touch heals, yes, but bad touch makes you sick. This is the second habit of the chosen one, a silence imposed by the soul, a waiting without a date, a quest for what the world does not always understand. And since we are here to welcome these truths so difficult to express, allow me to extend a special invitation to you. If this video touches you, if you recognize yourself in these words, if your heart beats differently at this moment, subscribe here to the Ampliação da Consciência channel. This space is for people like you, like me, like all of us, who bear our souls. But that's not all. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever had a similar experience? Have you ever felt like your body was protecting you from what your mind so desperately desired? Have you ever experienced that indescribable yet painful longing? Tell me in the comments. Without fear, without shame. Share your experience with us, because by speaking out, you too heal. And your story could be the key someone needs to feel less alone. If you've made it this far, take a deep breath. Because now we're going to address a wound that, for many of us, is still open. Perhaps hidden, perhaps forgotten, perhaps even transformed into guilt. But it's there. I'm talking about the silent, almost magnetic attraction many chosen ones feel for broken people. And no, it's not a relishing of pain or a need or an addiction to drama. It's something older, something deeper. It's as if the other's pain resonates on a frequency only you can hear. Some are drawn to beauty, others to intellect, but the chosen ones, alas, are drawn to pain, to soul. Wounded by the open wound, by that look that begs for help behind a smile. It's as if something inside them recognizes in the other a part of themselves, also wounded at that moment, and then desire is born. But not the usual superficial desire. It's a desire mixed with compassion, urgency, an absurd desire for healing. Has this ever happened to you? Have you ever fallen in love with someone who clearly needed help, not romance? Have you been in relationships where you played more the role of therapist than partner? Have you tried to love someone who didn't even know how to love themselves? Well, it's much more common among the elect than you might think, and also more dangerous, because this attraction to wounded souls turns love into a mission, and when love becomes a mission, the heart pays the price. The chosen one dives in, gives himself, listens, embraces, welcomes, tries to save, and in doing so often loses himself. He forgets himself, fades away, becoming light for others but darkness for himself. And the cruelest thing is that often, after all this, the other leaves, or gets up again and leaves, because the mission has been accomplished, the pain accepted but the love remains. Stay with someone who gave everything, with someone who expected reciprocity and received only silence. These relationships are intense, passionate, and charged, because sex isn't just physical. It's a healing process. It's an attempt to mend the pieces broken by desire, as if simply touching the other person could heal their wounds with pleasure, as if a tighter embrace could heal the trauma, as if orgasm were an exorcism ritual. But in the end, the wound goes deeper, and love doesn't heal everything. And then comes the exhaustion, the emptiness, the frustration, that burning question, why do I only attract broken people? Why do I hang out with people who don't have room for me? Why do I fall in love with people who don't love me back? The answer isn't always superficial. It's deep within the soul. It's a silent call that says, you came to heal. But being a healer doesn't mean sacrificing yourself, or living with your heart held out like a flag of peace. The love of the chosen one must learn to be whole before attempting to save the other. This is the third strange sexual habit of the chosen ones, a love disguised as a mission, a desire mistaken for empathy, an abandonment that, if not conscious, becomes self-sabotage. Because true love heals, yes, but it begins by healing itself. Has this ever happened to you? Have you ever mistaken your heart for an emergency room? So breathe. You are not alone. There is still time to change your behavior. It is still possible to love without bleeding. It is still possible to transform that attraction into awareness. For the wounded need not be your prison. They can be your liberation. We are now entering an even deeper territory, a place where the body ceases to be mere flesh and becomes an altar, where the intimate act is not just a pleasure, but an invocation, where every breath is intentional and every touch has a purpose. Here, sex doesn't begin in bed. It's born in the energy. It's born in the soul. And for many chosen ones, it's not an occasional practice. It's a natural way of surrendering. It's a way of existing. For these beings, sex has never been banal. It has never been a simple instinct. It always touched layers far beyond the skin. It was as if, even without knowing why, they felt as if they were activating invisible forces every time. They connected with someone, as if orgasm was more than just an orgasm, an explosion of portals, a wave of healing, a call to something greater. In many ancient cultures, sex was considered sacred, a rite of passage, a communion with the divine. And the chosen ones, even without knowing these traditions, carry them in their blood, in their gestures, in the silence between kisses. It's as if the soul remembers rituals forgotten by the mind. Do you know when, before a date, you feel the need to prepare the space? Light incense, take a long bath, clean the fields? Or when, during the act, You realize that you're not just making love, but activating, awakening something. Energies, access to memories that don't even seem their own. It's ritualized sex. And yes, it's real, it's powerful, it's transformative. Some chosen ones, even without knowing it, use symbols, mantras, crystals. Some visualize the opening of chakras, the circulation of lights, the descent of forces. Others feel presences, others receive messages. And there are those who, at the moment of orgasm, make requests, release traumas, and seal inner pacts. All of this is ritual, sacred. But it requires awareness and preparation, because working with sexual energy is like working with fire. You know what you're doing. You can heal, transmute, and perform miracles. But if you don't, you risk burning yourself, opening dangerous portals, and losing yourself in fantasies that become prisons. And the chosen one, with his increased energy, feels everything more intensely. Therefore, he needs more attention, more responsibility, more clarity. This custom of experiencing sex as a ritual may seem strange to those who are not familiar with it. It may seem exaggerated, mystical, or far-fetched, but for those who feel it deeply, in their souls, in their hearts, it is undeniable. It is real, it is ancient, it is necessary. And here's a reminder, this has nothing to do with debauchery. On the contrary, it's a matter of reverence. It's a matter of intention. It's a matter of pleasure, while respecting one's own spirit and that of the other. It's about transforming the intimate act into a temple, a code of light, a silent prayer. This is the fourth habit of the chosen one. Sex that is more than just physical. Sex that heals, that activates, that connects to the divine. Sex that, experienced sincerely, can change your vibration, can change your life. Have you ever felt this way? Have you ever felt that touch is a ceremony, that orgasm is a portal to liberation, that the body is a sacred force field? If so, remember that you are not dreaming. You are awakening to the power that has always been present within you. We have reached the most delicate point, perhaps the most hidden, the most judged, and therefore the most necessary to reveal. For if there is one thing that the spiritual world still tries to hide, it is this kind of desire. Those who do not fit the image of an elevated, tranquil, and enlightened being, detached from the pleasures of the flesh. But the truth is that the chosen soul is not made only of light. Where there is much light, there is also much darkness, and it is also hungry. It also wants to express itself. It also wants to be seen. Many of the chosen, as balanced, connected, and aware as they may seem, carry within them fetishes that defy all spiritual norms. And that doesn't make them less evolved. Just more human, more complete, more real. These desires are linked to domination, submission, symbolic control, and total surrender. Sometimes it's the pleasure of leading. Other times it's the pleasure of surrender, of being blindfolded and trusting, of tying wrists not through violence, but through ritual, through performance, through a deep need to relive and reframe, something that has been trapped in other existences. It sounds exaggerated, perhaps, but for those who experience it, it's as if the body tells a story the mouth can't, as if sex becomes the stage for forgotten memories, old traumas, roles never lived. Many of these desires are born from lives of repression, control, blind obedience, or corrupt power. In other lives, this being may have been a leader, a priest, a slave, a warrior, or a martyr. And now in this life, the soul seeks to balance what remained unfinished and finds in sex the symbolic framework where all this can be healed. But therein lies the danger. When these desires are experienced unconsciously, they can turn into addiction, loss of control, and emotional dependence. The chosen one may confuse intensity with love, pain with connection, and engage in relationships that are more painful than healing. But when experienced with clarity, respect, and communication, these fetishes become powerful tools for self-knowledge, trust, and true surrender, not just physical, but energetic, emotional, and spiritual. We must stop demonizing what is only a language of the soul, judging what we do not understand, and thinking that spirituality is synonymous with plastic purity and enforced chastity. The true spiritual path includes the body, desires, and the shadow, and it is in this recognition that liberation lies. This is the fifth sexual habit of the chosen one. The presence of fetishes linked to power, symbolic desires that, when sincerely embraced, reveal the soul's deep need for healing. even in the most intimate spaces, in the most daring scenes, in the most intense gestures. And if you've made it this far and found yourself in one of these stories, remember that nothing bad is happening to you. What you feel may seem strange, but it is sacred. It may seem confusing, but it is an invitation, a call to look at yourself without judgment, to love yourself fully with light and shadow, with desire and silence, past and present intertwined. Before I finish, let me tell you something from the bottom of my heart. If this video has deeply touched you, if it has made you think, if it has opened a door that was closed to you, subscribe to the Ampliação da Consciência channel here. Ritualized. This space is for those who feel too much, think differently, carry invisible scars, and no longer want to pretend. And most importantly, tell me in the comments, have you ever had any of these experiences? Have you ever felt strange for wanting something abnormal? Have you ever been afraid to fully reveal yourself to someone? Share it with us, without censorship or filter, because by speaking, you give the other soul the courage to recognize themselves too. This channel is made up of real stories and yours matters. I want to know what you thought of this video, what you learned, what hurt you, what healed you. Tell me below. Let's make this community a mirror where everyone can see themselves without shame. And remember, you are not alone. You are not strange. You are deep, you are unique. You are chosen. Being chosen brings a gift, but also a journey filled with paradoxes, suffering and discovery. And it's all part of your genius. If you found my work valuable and would like to explore this journey with us, feel free to join our channel's community of members by clicking the Become a Member button. May you find peace in your body. May your sexuality be a bridge, not a prison. May your desires be a compass, not a source of shame. And may your path become more and more your own.